or Castle, which recently came out. I mean, it's really engaging. I've always loved that topic. And I actually did not read any uh, books this semester that related to this theme, which I'm actually happy about. I think maybe I tried to do that on purpose to try and get out there and try and figure out what other genres and what other themes I like in reading books. I mean, I was a very challenged reader before. I wouldn't find books that I would connect to or feel like I was engaged, and so I'd abandon them. I'd never really complete books, and so I really haven't gotten to know myself as a reader besides the semester, which I'm really glad about. You know, I've discovered so many different topics that and themes of books that I really enjoy. For example, uh, um, I wouldn't say um, historically. It was not historical, but I mean, it is in a way the City of Thieves that takes place in war, during war, which I really enjoyed. It was historical fiction, which is really interesting, in fact, and also um, Souls, I guess, is more of a, I don't know what kind of genre you call it, more like an informational, like what's going on in the real day. So realistic fiction, I guess. Yeah, it's realistic fiction. I never used to read books like that, so I mean that was a good expansion for myself as a reader. And I also got into memoirs, especially the Glass Castle. I mean, I got so many recommendations from my friends, you know, and I usually never read autobiographies or memoirs of any sort. And this book was so deep and complex, and all the connections that you don't know about in her life. You're not really sure who this person is or if this is really happening, or this, and I mean, it's difficult in a memoir. Sometimes it's not what's really happening, but and in the end, the way everything connects together, again, sort of like a mystery, everything connects together at the end, and in The Lock Artist, everything connects together in the end too. So I think that's what I expanded myself on, but not in like forensics, about forensics and such. So I found a common motif of connections um, and mystery, but in certain genres, different genres of books. So that was a good realization for me as a reader. And how did I challenge myself this semester in terms of reading habits? So one, I didn't abandon any books, which I'm really proud of. I mean, I've usually never been, even sometimes I had a bad habit of reading a book and it was good, but I was just lazy and sometimes I'd be tired, so I just put it down and never pick it up again, which is such a shame because they were good books, and I never got to get to the end of it. But in terms of reading habits, I challenged myself by um, I usually watch a lot of TV. I love watching movies and series and stuff, but every time, say, I'd get home, I've done with dance, done with homework, I'd usually watch TV instead. I'd try and read, and not only because it was for homework, but because um, well, in fact, because so many books that I read this semester were that good that I wanted to read them instead of watch TV. But so that's how I tried to develop myself as a reader, and I didn't want to only read because of English homework because we had to, but I tried to get in as much reading as I possibly could till bedtime. And I think those are the two biggest changes that I've done, and also just trying to get out and read different genres. That's a big one for me. And how many hours a day on average did I read? I think every day I read maybe um, 2 hours minimum. But I mean, on some days it was less because like an hour and a half or so, or maybe an hour, because of certain activities such as dance and stuff. Um, but minimum without all these conflicts of activities, 2 hours, and then the maximum that I read in one day, I came home right after school, and I read all the way through till dinner at 7:45. So from 2:05 to 7:45, that was almost 5 hours. So that was a big read for me. I mean, this book was just amazing, and then I just went to the next book, and so that was the most and I've read. And how does the environment around me affect my reading hours? I mean, dance is a huge, um, has a huge impact on my reading because it takes so much, and it's also something that I'm very passionate about. So it's usually the one thing that I do in my free time when I'm done with homework. So I had to try and replace that with reading, or maybe I would incorporate it. I'd do my stretching, my splits and such while reading, which actually was very helpful in um, um, both in reading and dance, because I'd get so into the book that I'd forget that I'd be stretching, and I would stay there maybe for an hour in the splits, which is very good for a dancer. So that is how the environment affected my reading, and how reading also affected my activities and dance skills in a way. So how does reading affect me on a personal level? Well, I think that it's really because I've always turned to dance as an escape for de-stress, for if I just need to get out of this crazy world. There's school, there's so much stress. I mean, there's the homework when you get home, and sometimes I just get so into TV. I could sit in front of the TV for hours, and I didn't like that. Sometimes you just need quiet time where you're physically flipping the page, and it's just peaceful. There's no sound, there's no static all around you, and it's relaxing. It doesn't hurt your head unless you read for a really long time. But I mean, it's really a calming thing for me, and especially now it's a hectic time. I'm probably gonna be moving houses and such, and it's just crazy. Sometimes there's a lot of fighting in the house, so then all you want to do is just pick up a good book, lay in like the corner of your bed, and just read and read, and it's a quiet space for you. There's no interruptions. It's just you and a good book, and it's quiet. So that's what I think, how it's an escape for me from all this static. And overall, looking back at my reading progression of this semester, I'm very content with my outcome. I mean, I think I read a decent amount of books. I'm happy. I spread myself, I think, pretty evenly. Um, uh, uh, Through a variety of genres, and I think I challenged myself. And when I felt that I needed to take a step back, I would go to a more easy book, but it was still engaging. It was still a good book. I'm happy because I didn't abandon any books. I gave each and every one a chance, and I'm happy I did, because in the end they all had a strong, good ending. So that was really nice. I mean, I've found myself reading in so many situations where I would have either been dancing or watching TV, and now I actually prefer it over watching TV, which I think is great, because there's so many times where I've watched the movie and never read the book. So overall, I am content with my reading progression this semester. Thank you. Bye.